as you can see, I am still very much sick. So we're gonna make this video really quick. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to negotiate your rates as a micro-influencer. Now, this video is geared towards micro-influencers because I feel like oftentimes we lack the confidence and sometimes just the knowledge to go into a situation knowing our worth and demanding that worth. So this video is for you guys. Grab your pencil, grab your paper, let's go. Tip number 1, know your worth. If you go into a negotiation not even knowing your worth as a content creator, as an influencer, you're gonna walk away with negative dollars. You're gonna end up spending money on props, on lighting, studio, whatever. You're gonna end up spending money and getting nothing in return. So you gotta have a sound understanding of what you bring to the table. What are you good at? Why should this brand want to pay you? What gives you leverage to go into negotiation and say, pay me my coin? I think having that confidence is like half the battle, honestly. When you have confidence in what you bring to the table, you can go into a negotiation and demand your worth because you know how much time it takes to create this content. You know how much money can potentially go into buying props, to possibly working in the studio, to possibly working with models, to hiring a photographer, hiring a videographer. It's a lot of money, and in the end, I think a lot of brands only see like, oh, this nice picture, oh, this nice video. But you have to make them understand like all the time, the energy, and the money that you put into that. And that's what gives you negotiation power. That is part of your value. So have confidence and know your worth. Knowing that you are not just sitting at the table, you are bringing the table, sis. You are the table, the chair, the projector, the everything in this negotiation meeting. Like you own it, sis. Step number 2, do your research. I look at negotiations as an influencer or content creator the same way as I look at negotiations for work. Would you go in demanding a certain amount without first doing a bit of research to figure out what is the starting salary, what other people are making in that position? I hope not. It's the same when you're negotiating rates as an influencer or content creator. Do your research. What are other influencers making in your tier? Like if you're a micro-influencer, what are other micro-influencers making? Look into it. Then you're able to confidently go into these negotiations knowing that I know a good portion of people are at least making this much. That's your starting line. But guess what? I bring even more to the table. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to double, we're going to triple it, whatever you want to do with it. But you need a baseline. And that only comes from doing your research. Number 3, this one is one that I don't think is often discussed, but you have to decide what forms of payment you're okay with. A lot of times when you think about negotiating rates, you're thinking money. Okay, I want to make $10,000 a post, whatever. But maybe you'll be okay with getting a trip to the Bahamas. I know I would. Okay, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but I mean, some folks are getting that. But maybe you're okay with a product as well. Like imagine if you're doing a collab with Apple and they're like, we can't pay you, but we can get you a lifetime supply of iPhones. Like something like that. And you have to go into the negotiations like knowing what you're okay with. Okay, I would prefer $500 per post. However, I love your product so much that I'm open to $250 a post along with such and such products. So be sure to have that conversation with yourself so you know going into the negotiation that you're a bit flexible or maybe you're not flexible with the forms of payment. Okay, so now when you get down to the nitty-gritty of negotiating your rates, I always tell folks to start high. I think there's a tendency to start like exactly with what you want. Like for example, if you want $100 a post, you'll say that, okay, I want $100 per post. If you start yourself off at exactly what you want, you give yourself no room to go up. You can literally only go down because that brand is going to come back and say, okay, we can do 80. You can't come back and say, okay, I want 150 now. I mean, conversation will be over. No, boy, done. Get out of here. Start high. Like if you want 100, start at 250, start at 200, heck, start at 300. Who knows? But start high. Give yourself room to come down. That way, you might end up higher than what you actually wanted. Leave a little space, leave a little room there, okay? And don't worry about like scaring the brand off if you start too high. If they got it, they got it. Or at the very least, they'll negotiate with you. That's what this is about, negotiation. Next tip, don't give in too quickly. I can speak for myself. Sometimes, you know, I'll get the brand to say, we can do 200. And I'm like, cool. That's not a negotiation. If you want more than 200, like don't be afraid to say, you know, I'm not very comfortable with 200. Can you do 250 or 300? Like, don't just take the first response and run with that, especially if it's not what you actually want. Negotiations is about, you know, that back and forth. And if they can only afford 200, then okay, what else can they give you that you may want? Next tip, if possible, or whenever possible, get them to drop a price first. What does that mean? Instead of saying, this is my rate, I want $500 for a photo, ask them, hey, do you guys have a budget for brand collaborations? If yes, what is it? You don't know, it might be higher than what you were thinking. You know, and if it's lower, then you say, oh, that's a bit lower than what I typically do collaborations for. Can you do such and such? Then you name your normal rate. But when you give the brand the opportunity to say first what their budget is, you'll be able to see like what they're willing to pay. Like I said, sometimes it's higher. So I say give it a try. Last but definitely not least, know when to walk away. I say this all the time. Not all collaborations are good collaborations. Not all money is good money. If they're trying to lowball you or they're not really respecting your art, your craft, and what you bring to the table, walk away, sis. Take the table with you. They ain't ready. They ain't ready. Do not be afraid to walk away, because trust me, I know from experience, I have said yes to either free collaborations or low paying collaborations, and they've been the most needy brands ever. When are you posting? Oh, can you do this and this and that? Can you fly to the moon, come back, and then do it again? Like, sometimes it's just not worth it, especially if they're not willing to pay you what you're asking. Walk away. Okay, that is it. Hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions for me, please drop them down below. Also follow me on Instagram, Pieces of Onye. I'm on there every day. Happy to answer your questions. Until next time, toodaloo.